Hi there, this is Ken Caldwell, Dean of the School of Business Administration at the University of Victoria. And once again, I am joined by one of our senior professors, Dr. Jifu Wang. Dr. Wang, who has his PhD from Auburn University, is the chair of our management department here in the School of Business Administration. And he has very rich management experiences in international business and a broad social network in the business world. Jifu has been teaching capstone courses in our 2 MBA programs and always brings the real world mindset into the classroom. He pays special attention to the course design to make sure he's creating capabilities in the students so they can face business challenges and advance to the executive levels for their success and their futures. So welcome, Jifu.
Yeah, to be nice here.
Well, so I want to pick up. This is the second part of this particular discussion we're having, and I want to pick up where we left off. So last time you were talking about the hierarchy of learning and different ways that you use those in your School of Business program. We talked about just base knowledge acquisition, learning facts, learning models, that sort of thing. And then the second hierarchy is actually how you apply these things in real life business situations, what you called skills. And the third level is really what I call, just to encapsulate what you said, judgment, which is how to apply skills in different situations in different ways. And I thought that was a really interesting discussion. So I want to continue about that with that and talk about learning methodology. So how do we go about learning the capabilities that we need in school?
Now, to be successful in school, it's very important for our students to get the learning methodology. That applied not only to the students in the undergraduate programs, and also for students in the graduate programs. So in other words, we're asking the question, how we're going to learn. So basically, we look at the 4 components of learning, or called methodology. First of all, when we meet anything new concept, new principle, new term, we need to know definition clearly. A lot of students feel it is very boring because it's like you have to memorize the definition. So that is why people do not pay much attention to the definition. Now, knowing the definition is very significant. Now, for example, every day we talk about management. Now, business school management, that's really related. When you ask a student what management is, you get various kind of answers. So people believe we are communicating with each other on the same page. However, we are not. Because the concept we have in our mind when we say management is a different concept in the person who is listening, who is interacting with us. So that is why a lot of times conversation ends up with misunderstanding. That's because people don't have the same idea about the term that we're using. And this is very critical in business negotiations. So that is why we have to define the terms that we use. So to make sure we are using the same term to representing the same idea. Instead of I'm talking the triangle, you're talking a square. Now, also, the definition is what we need to practice. For example, the definition for management is to achieve things through other people in a very precise way. So what the manager will do, if we try to manage, what we do, we try to get people together so that we can achieve the organizational goals. Otherwise, we don't know what management is, how can we value it? So that's the first part, the definition. Second part is the components. Now we need to know what management consists of. In other words, what are we going to do when we say we're going to manage? So basically, if we use the abbreviations, we can say POLK. That's how I tell my students, and you will never forget that in your life. Sometimes people forget, and you just remember, I ask them to repeat 20 times. They close their eyes and say, follow me, POLK, POLK. P is planning. O is O. That means organizing. L is leading. C is controlling. So management consists of 4 parts. Now these components also is a methodology. That's how we're going to do things. First, we need to plan well, and then we need to lead people to do things, organize our resources, and then lead people in the right direction. And the last one is to have a control. I remember once in our Victoria UHV, we have a president called Karen Keynes. She once said, I remember that all the time, and I share with all my students. She said, I do not want to control everything, but I want everything under my control. Really nicely put. You do not want to have your fingers in every pie, micromanage everything. However, as the CEO, you need to have the control. You need to be well informed of what is going on in your organization. So I ask students, if there are 2 things or more than 2 things, there must be some kind of relationship. Now, since we have 4 components, what are the relationship? What is the most significant things among these 4? And there's various suggestions. So in the end, I tell them control is the most important thing. Because once you lose your control, your planning, organizing, leading, everything's gone. So in any organization, you need to have everything under your control. Well, components is very significant to get an idea. And then the third part is the significance. So we learn something new, for example, leadership, for example, management, right? What's the definition? What are the components? Now, why this is significant? We need to understand the importance of the concept. And then we come to the 4th one, because the first 3 are theory-driven, are learning-driven. We learn them, we master them, nothing happened. The last one is the one really can help us to put all the 3 into practice to get results, which is application. So you need to apply the new concept and then try to see how you can achieve the results you can get. Now, when we apply stuff in business settings, it's not that's the only solution. There are many alternatives. There are many options. As a business executive, we need to know what are the options we have. It's not something you come to your mind, right away you put that into practice and you get the whoops. You know, in your life, not many times you can do that whoops. So we need to know our alternatives. We might put them down. Alternative 1 to alternative 20, maybe alternative 1, alternative 5, alternative 7, putting together becomes an optimal solution. So that is kind of result driven. So when we are in the learning process, we know we need to have knowledge, skills, and mind power. But when we are learning, this 4 steps or the methodologies can really help people. And also, a lot of people believing that writing is challenging. If you use the same methodology, you talk about definition, you talk about components, you talk about significance, you talk about application, it's really easy to write a lot of things. You don't have to use the title, saying definition or components. You can write in different ways, but that's the framework.
Interesting. That's a fascinating way to describe it, Jifu. And those of us who are in strategic management know that firm capabilities are what leads to competitive advantages. And I would suggest that individual capabilities are what lead to competitive advantages for people in the workplace. So this has been a great discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, bye.